if you have multiple vectors and you want to add them together, the first thing you're going to do is you have these original vectors like this. You want to take them and you want to place them tip to tail. So we have this one is still here. Okay, I'm going to call this A so you can tell the difference, and this one B. And we've taken A and he's still doing the same thing, but we've moved B over here. So he starts at the tip of A. And then once we've done that, we can draw this resultant. And if we know what A and B are, we can use trig to find the angle of C and also the length of C. Okay, so that's what we're going to try and do in this section. And you will need a protractor or math. So the resultant is just the hypotenuse. So you guys probably know it as C. You're more than welcome to keep it as C, because I know you guys have done a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So, and this only works if vectors are at right angles, but we're only going to use right angle vectors. We will not do anything that's not a right angle. That way we won't have to do anything more complicated than right triangle trig. So if you want to find that angle of the resultant, again, we've in that last picture we had a triangle and it kind of looked like this. I'm drawing it a little above the black line so you can see it. And then we were going to find that this one right here, in order to find this angle, this formula is for that angle. Okay, and this is just the length of R, the length of your y component, and then the length of the x component. And this is just to keep in mind, again, you need to have your calculator in radians. If it's not in radians, you will get the wrong answer. You will get angles of like really small numbers, like 0.5 or 0.2 or something like that, when it really should be like 27 or 30 or 50 or whatever. If tangent is more than 0, a lot of calculators will give you an angle between 0 and 90. And if your tangent is less than 0, most will give an angle between 0 and negative 90. Okay, so if you had something down here, okay, they're going to give you this angle as a negative, and that's all they're saying in this. So in this one, they're going to give you two, an x and a y component, and you're going to have to find the resultant. So the first component is 45 meters east, and that'll be your x component, and then the second is 23 meters south. And it wants the displacement, which is basically the resultant. Okay, so when I do these problems, I really like to use graph paper. I would suggest you using graph paper as well. So I'm going to write what they gave you again, just so you've got it. They say that we were going 45 meters east and 23 meters south. Okay, so when I do problems like this, the first thing I do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw a compass. So I have north, east, south, west. Okay, and then I'm going to draw my coordinate plane, or whatever you want to call this, that you guys use in math. Okay. And I know that our person is going east and south, so I don't really need a lot on this side. Okay, and then you want to make some sort of scale. So for this one, I like to do 5 meters is equal to 1 square. Okay, so that means we're saying each one of these squares is 5 meters. So now I'm going to draw my, my person going east. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So that's my 45 meters east. Now I'm going to draw my 23 meters south. So this is 5, 10, 15, 20, and 23 is a little over half, so I'm just going to do like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, and then our displacement is going to be this green line, or the hypotenuse of this triangle. So I can do that, and I found it. Now, if I want to figure out the length of my hypotenuse, I'm going to call it C, and then I'll call this top part A, and this going south part B. So then I have, I'm going to use my Pythagorean Theorem. So that's A squared plus B squared equals C squared. My A is equal to 45 meters. So I'll have 45 meters squared plus 23 meters squared for my B is equal to C squared. Now I can just square these, and 45 squared is 25 meters squared. Remember, our units get squared too. Everything inside here gets squared. And my B is 529 meters squared, and that's still equal to C squared. Now I'm going to add these two together, and I'm going to get 54 meters squared. And that's equal to C squared. Now I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and I will end up with 50.54 meters is equal to C. And you can see this is longer than either of these two, so that lets you know. That lets you know that it's right, because this angle, this is going to be more than the other one. Now we want to find the angle as well. So you could just end with 50.54 meters southeast, and you could do that. Or you could actually do your inverse tan. So theta is equal to tan -1. Again, you'll really want like a real scientific calculator for this. You don't want to try and do this on an iPhone calculator, besides it being in radians. Now, you want your 23 to be negative because your B is going down. And so then when you put this in the calculator, and again, you want to do a calculator that has degrees clicked and not radians. You do not want to use an iPhone or an iPad calculator. You get the inverse tan is equal to the inverse tan is equal to -0.51, and then you'll end up with -27 degrees as your answer. And that's because this angle is going down from the horizontal, and this is your 27 degrees.